This was a very busy week for Republican presidential hopefuls. There were announcements, major speeches, and potential candidates jockeying for position for the 2012 election. For a look at what it all means, let's turn to CBS News political analyst John Dickerson. He's in our Washington bureau. John, good morning to you.
Good morning, Russ.
It looks like the Republican field is shaping up, but do you expect any wild cards to show up in the next few days?
Well, that's right. The souffle is starting to set up a little. We had Newt Gingrich coming in. Ron Paul made it official. We still have some wild cards out there, though. Mitch Daniels, the governor of Indiana, is thinking about it, says he's going to have a decision. A lot of people are waiting for him to speak up. And Ambassador Huntsman, who was a recent ambassador to China, John Huntsman is going to get into the race. So there are still a few more big names, but it moved along a little bit this week. Okay, let's talk about some names out there. Mike Huckabee says he's going to make a major announcement tonight, or at least he's calling it a very important announcement. What do you think he's going to say, and how important of a factor could he be in the race? Well, he's keeping a very close hold. He hasn't done the things that a candidate needs to do on any front to prepare the way, so the betting among the experts is that he will say he's not running. His big effect is that he has a strong following in the social conservative community within the conservative base, and he does quite well in some polls, and he does very well in Iowa, where he won the caucuses the last time around. If he gets out of the race, that puts Iowa in play in a different kind of way. Some candidates have been sitting out or planning to sort of sit out Iowa. Now, if it's an open contest, that sort of changes and might change their calculation.
Mitt Romney caught some flack from his fellow Republicans this week for after he was trying to explain the difference between the health care law he passed in Massachusetts and the Obama health care plan, which he opposes. What do you think, John? Will he be able to overcome this with his own party?
Well, the specifics of the case are very tricky. He supported a plan in Massachusetts that had at its center an individual mandate forcing people to get insurance. That's what the Obama plan had at the national level. That individual mandate is something a lot of conservatives just don't like, and the speech was not well received. The Wall Street Journal editorial page really went after Romney. They knew this was going to happen. The key for Romney is that he has to be able to at least get past this enough so he can make his primary case, which is, I was a businessman, I know how the economy works. With the country in a difficult economic situation, I'm the person. And if he can make that case, he should be able to get past this.
At this point, would Mitt Romney be the front runner?
Well, he'd like to think so. There is no front runner. In some polls, he comes out at the top, and in certain states, in New Hampshire, he does very well. But the field is very loose, and part of what we're seeing as Republicans are looking to candidates like Mitch Daniels, who have not really gotten in the race and who may not get in the race, they're sort of pleading for some others to get into the race that might be slightly more exciting candidates who might have flaws that are less big than some of the ones that are in the race now.
Let me ask you about Mitch Daniels. A lot of Republicans want him to jump to the race, as you just said. What makes him such an attractive candidate for so many Republicans?
Well, the unknown, in part, makes him attractive. He is a vessel into which people can pour all their hopes and dreams, and that's a problem for Daniels. His best day may be the day that he announces he's in the race. We've seen this in the past. Fred Thompson was the great mystery candidate who was going to come in 2008 and have a glorious campaign, and it fizzled almost immediately. What happens is that voters are always kind of looking around for their star candidate. What makes Daniels attractive, though, is he's been a good, competent governor, which means he's not from Washington. He's an executive, means he has actual solutions that have had to been tested by voters and by actual, seeing if they actually work rather than just a lot of rhetoric. And he's got a good sort of sense of humor, and he has a very clear story to tell about what he believes the next president has to do about the debt and deficit. That's a very important issue with Republicans and conservatives.
Texas Congressman Ron Paul says he's going to run again. What effect could he have on other Tea Party candidates who may want to enter the race?
Well, Ron Paul's best argument is against Washington, and there are no current sitting senators or running, so that it's harder for him to make the case that other candidates are captive of Washington. Sort of everybody is trying to be the Tea Party candidate, which might diminish his influence a little bit in terms of taking votes away from others. But he has a very strong following, and he will shape the debate here because he's not just a novelty candidate in the way he was the first two times he ran. His chances are still very slim about getting the nomination, but he does have a role to play, and that will affect other candidates.
Going to throw out two more names. Give me quick answers on both. Christie, New Jersey governor, in or out?
Out. He can't say he's not running enough, apparently, for people, but he's going to. People still want him to get in the race.
And another name we don't hear a lot about anymore, Donald Trump.
Well, part of the reason we don't hear any more about him is he was he's considered not just a novelty candidate, but sort of a clown candidate now. He's fallen back in the polls, and his moment seems to have come and gone.
Okay. John Dickerson in Washington. As always, thanks so much. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Russ.